Welcome back, guys, to Lake of Voices. It's been a while since I've recorded due to just general issues, but we are back, and I'm so excited to get back into this. So last time we got to the island, and we spent the day, I guess, on the island. We killed the lady at the start. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. Rest in peace. And we passed up the other guy who we found. I think in this session, if we come across anybody else, we're just gonna bring them with us. Like, screw it, they're coming with us. Okay, so let's load up. Okay. The thick inky water sloshes reluctantly off the boards, bleeding back into the lake until finally it stills. A shudder crawls over my body as I place my foot on the boards, but I quickly shake it off. I have no other option. We have to go through this again. All tense as day-old corpses, we walk over the bridges in silence. The only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of water at the bridge. Now, how is it that's said? Bemel? I think it's Bemel. I mean, I just call him Bemele anyway, but Bemele stays close by my side with a sour expression on his face. He evidently has little interest in making his disgust. What? He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust. There we go. English! He murmurs something beneath his breath, but it's inaudible. I decide not to ask about it. It wasn't meant for me to hear. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it is explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat of all is eerily absent: the prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths, and even those may have simply been tricks of the fog. I feel I may be even more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Bemel, but yeah, okay, let's call him by his proper name, Bemel. No, whatever. Bemele's tenseness. He isn't set at ease by their lack of presence either.
Why?
No idea, Kika. I whisper the question softly, almost silently, as I scan left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I ponder whether they're still weary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if there are less dragging themselves across the bridges than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. My skin crawls with the touch of icy fingers at the thought, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. Bemele catches my concern and brings him closer to my ear.
This isn't right. It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
Could they be planning something?
Bemele lightly shakes his head. He speaks with suspicion in his voice as he peers at the guide ahead.
I don't know.
As time passes by, we continue to see nothing but more bridges and fog. Beside me, Bemele is becoming more and more agitated the longer we go without disruption. I can read Bemele well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide, rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope that he would be able to contain his feelings towards our lead until we had put this maze behind us. That is becoming unlikely. I resolve to step in before he grows too heated, and there is yet another hazardous argument.
Your concentration is clouded, Bemele. What is troubling you?
Oh, it is Bemele.
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
Bemele glows hatefully at the guide. I purse my lips for a moment before continuing, resigned.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
Dead! Bemele releases an exasperated sigh, while crossly folding his arms.
That isn't possible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
What makes
What
sense?
do you mean by that?
Yes, explain please.
Recall yesterday. I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters, and now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
My eyes widen and I stifle a gasp. The situation at hand giving both of us a reason to think on that possibility is absolutely unsettling, but his conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing others to die unnecessarily on purpose to make it less dangerous for the remaining few. That is not something I was prepared for.
Even back when we started, the first time we met the guide, he mentioned that at least one of us would die before the journey was finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said it as though it was a price to pay for coming with him.
True.
The guide is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind at so much as a hint of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew this was going to happen. He had to know.
I take a few moments to breathe. Despite the danger, I only barely resisted shutting my eyes against the world.
We need to make it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
My usual reply to Bemley's worries does not make an impression. His eyes are not swayed. He continues to stare into me.
I'm saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
Oh no, is this going to be a timed one? Oh, we can discuss this at the end. Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There's too much danger and too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down. I can only hope Emily will take it seriously.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
Go on, girl! Bemley doesn't battle me further on the issue. His face no longer retains any anger, only sorrow. He returns his gaze straight ahead. Interesting. Our progress continues steadily and we still encounter no significant difficulties.
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
Bemley's quiet breaking question doesn't particularly sound enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Bemley is unconvinced. It is not only I who notices. The guide suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side and looks back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Is there?
We progress through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time. Bemley's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming that fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Bemley has taken.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavily on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There was no sound to cover our voices. However, I had assumed we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves. He stares with such an icy expression I nearly freeze in place. Bemley, on the other hand, heats up and grows more hostile. He leaves my side to rush into the guide's flickering light. This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the guide.
Am I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what I've done?
The guide isn't bothered at all by Bemley entering his space. He gives a level answer.
No.
Well, that's grand. In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
The guide pauses for a moment. His eyes close and he becomes completely still.
It's possible.
Bemley glares at the guide over the admittance. It's as though he heard nothing after the first line the guide spoke. The guide is unfazed.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end up like the others.
Bemley ends up speechless, caught off guard by the guide, openly discussing his accusation. The guide continues at Bemley's silence, annoyance leaking into his voice.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently, but that is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Lou?
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There's no helping someone like that.
The guide sounds even more agitated as he elaborates. Bemley seems to be finished with being surprised. His anger reignites.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone else?
Good point. The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl. He shouts,
I have died!
What?